Colossians Chapter 2, Through the Bible, Part 5. Christ, the answer to ritual for the heart. Let no man therefore judge you in meat, or in drink, or in respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. Colossians 2 verses 16 and 17. A believer is not to observe ordinances that are only ritual and liturgical. They have no present value. God did give certain rituals for the people in the Old Testament. So what has changed? Paul explains that they were merely a shadow of things to come. We get our word photograph from the Greek word used here for shadow. All the rituals of the law in the Old Testament were like a negative or a picture. They were just pictures of Christ. Now that Christ has come, we have the reality. Why should we go back and look at a picture? I remember that, during the days of World War II, I performed the wedding ceremony of two wonderful young people here in Pasadena. We knew a number of young men who went to war, and some of them gave their lives. This young fellow was sent overseas, and while he was gone, his young bride carried the biggest purse I have ever seen, and I have seen some big ones. In that purse, she carried a huge photograph of him. Most people carry a little bitty picture with them, but not this girl. She carried a photograph that you could have hung on the wall. She was everlastingly drawing it out and showing it to people. She'd say, "Isn't he handsome?" Between you and me, he wasn't what I would call a handsome boy. He was a wonderful boy, but he was not handsome. Then the day came when the war was over, and he was coming home. She went all the way to Seattle, Washington, to meet him. Now what do you think she did when she saw him coming down the gangplank? She hadn't seen him in a couple of years. Do you think she took out that picture and looked at it? Do you think she looked at the picture and said, "Isn't he wonderful?" I don't think she even had that picture with her. She saw him, and when she saw him, she didn't need a picture. She threw her arms around him. Many of us need to get off the merry-go-round of attending seminars, adapting gimmicks, jumping through everybody's little hoop, and taking a shortcut to the abundant life. Have we really arrived? Some think they have. Let's stop carrying around a faded photograph when we have the reality, Christ in you, the hope of glory. 4. We come now to the warning against mysticism. Let no man beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility and worshipping of angels, intruding into those things which he hath not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind, and not holding the head, from which all the body by joints and bands having nourishment ministered, and knit together, increaseth with the increase of God. Colossians 2 verses 18 and 19. This is another point at which people get off the track. Paul is here condemning the Gnostics who made a pretense of wisdom. And we have today in our church circles a great many folk who assume a pious superiority. They are what I call spiritual snobs. It has been my experience that these people generally are very ignorant of the Bible. Intruding into those things which he hath not seen. That's a pretense, putting on, acting like you have something that you don't really have. And not holding the head means that such people have a loose relationship with Christ. In other words, their head is not screwed on as it should be, by the way. 5. The final warning is against the error of asceticism. Wherefore, if ye be dead with Christ from the rudiments of the world, why, as though living in the world, are ye subject to ordinances? Touch not, taste not, handle not, which all are to perish with the using, after the commandments and doctrines of men, which things have indeed a show of wisdom in will worship and humility and neglecting of the body, not in any honor to the satisfying of the flesh. Colossians 2 verse 20-23. Here again, when Paul says, "If ye be dead with Christ," the translation would be better as, "since ye be dead with Christ." In other words, since you have died when Christ died, do not return to pre-cross living. I think, very candidly, that this is a terrible problem. There are people who follow some passing fad in the church. A few years ago, the fad was that women couldn't use lipstick, and some of them sure looked pale. I remember when I was teaching in a school that wouldn't permit the girls to wear lipstick, a girl came to me and asked, "Do you think it is all right to use lipstick?" I answered her, "There are a lot of these folk around here who would look better if they used a little lipstick. God wants us to look the best that we can. Even when we have little to work with, we ought to do the best we can with it." What we are dealing with here is the pride that apes humility that Juvenal speaks of. It is the pride that says, "I deny myself, and I don't do these things. Just look at me. I'm really sprouting wings, and I shine my halo every morning." Not in any honor means it is not of any value. My friend, that is asceticism that is no good. God wants you to rejoice in Him. Christ wants you to be close to Him. And if you're going to walk with Him, my friend, you are going to have a good time.